Welcome to A Woman's Brew, where women talk about beer. In today's episode of our Brave Noise interview series, we're joined by returning guest John from Spookton and Amelie from Women in Beer, who dare to be brave and make noise about their Brave Noise brew. I'm Joanne and this is Tori.
Hello, hello.
And we're two beer-loving women on a mission to get more people drinking and talking about great beer and making a brave noise. Come join us. All right, I'm excited. I think everyone else is excited. We've got another Brave Noise episode. We're still making noise, everybody. Today we have the return of John from Spookton. Thank you, John, for joining us again. And we've got Amelie. Now we've like met Amelie and spoke to Amelie in person loads of times. But we've not actually had you on the podcast yet.
No.
I'm forgetting to rectify this, and we might have to have you back on for another thing to talk about your things as well, like in addition to what we're talking about today.
I was going to say for you,
yeah.
I don't know if I've actually spoken to you in person at all.
Oh, have you not? Oh, maybe you haven't.
Yeah,
I don't know if I have.
I think it's the first time we're actually meeting. So not in person, but yeah.
yeah. In person meeting.
Yeah.
But I think that's the first time we've actually had a live conversation.
Yeah.
Emily and I bump into each other all the time nowadays. We're it's just hey.
Two people out on the town doing business. Look at you.
Doing the beer biz and all of that. Anyway, so we've got you on because we are going to talk about your lovely Brave Noise, which I'm excited about. Now, I haven't tried this yet. Tori, have you tried yours?
No,
because I saved it. We saved
it.
it.
I saved it. I was good.
Saved it, especially.
It's hard. It was really hard because I was
like, I'm
just going to crack it open, and then I kept going, no, wait.
Yeah, you're being really good. Please remind everybody, John, about Spookton in case they were rude enough not to have listened and watched that episode. And then Amelie can tell us about why she's here as well.
So Spookton is just a sort of we're a cookie brewery from the Wirral, and we're currently a cookie brewery, and we're hoping to set up as a proper brewery in the next year. And sort of one of the sort of things that we do is we donate money for every pint or can we brew to local good causes, and also Beers Without Beards.
Yay!
Which is a really great segue.
So it's to tell you a bit more about Beers Without Beards. So I would say it's going to be a weird one today because, well, the big news from yesterday is that we changed our name. So Beers Without Beards officially became Women in Beer as per yesterday. So it's been like a reflections, something we were thinking about for quite a long time, and because we were launching new activity, but that we're going to talk about, linked to the Brave Noise beer, we took advantage of that to basically just ditch Beers Without Beards. It's a name that we really liked, but we felt that it was not reflecting inclusivity. And we really wanted to show everyone that we are as inclusive as we can, that we obviously we are all welcoming of our sisters, trans women as well, and the without beards of part of the title was probably a bit confusing sometimes. So we're officially Women in Beer since yesterday, so I will try to say Women in Beer, but I'm still getting used to it for everything. But yeah, so basically Women in Beer is a group that I launched 5 years ago now. We just celebrated our 5th anniversary. They did to create safe space for women, for all women to enjoy beer, learn about it, make friends, and also why not create vocation for women to join the beer industry. So to kind of push that part of thing, we've been organizing a lot of tasting, a lot of talk with women and work in the industry. We also organize a festival Women in Beer Festival. Joanne was one of our speakers last year for the 2022 edition. And we're launching very soon a mentorship program for women, all women, who wants to start their career in the industry, or just like maybe a change of projects, anything that they would think they feel they need someone to chat, to learn from, to get some network from. So they will be paired with another woman more experienced, more senior in the industry, to just try to help them just be like stay in the industry and actually do good things in the industry.
That is absolutely amazing. So I feel like that is something that is I mean, maybe it's there and I've just not seen it, but I felt like that's something that was missing over here in the UK, because I know, like, Joe and I have spoken to people in the US, and they had mentorship programs through various outlets in the US, and I remember having this conversation with Joe as well. That was like, it would just be amazing, and the various groups of women that we speak to were like, yeah, the US has all these like amazing resources that they do to support each other and do those type of initiatives, and it's like, we just don't have something like that here. And it's like, compare the size comparison of the US compared to here, you're like, oh, it just should be like, we should just have something like this, and it would be, so that is just like, that is amazing to me, to sort of like, it's something that I feel like is so necessary over here for sure.
Yeah, I was super excited when I saw that you were going to have a mentorship as part of the suite that is Women in Beer. And I love the Women in Beer Festival. Like, I was really proud to be on one of your panels last year and be able to share a little bit of my knowledge with people and sitting and listening to everyone, like all the other people that were on the panels and were sharing their knowledge, and being in that room with all of those people and being able to network and chat to those people. Like, it's just a really lovely experience. And I think we say, like, we always, oh, it's going to make a safe space, and people get a bit funny when you say, what, like, why do you need a safe space? Like, what do you mean? But you do need those spaces where people can come together and have those open conversations without, you know, the fear of someone sitting there and being like, and doing that, well, why do you need that? And why can't you talk about this here? And, you know, pubs are for everybody. What are you talking about? Like, you do need those spaces, and we need to listen to the various different groups that say that they need these spaces, because they know, because they're the ones that need them.
Yeah, I remember watching you doing your panel live. I watched a few of the panels live. I remember, like, I just happened to time it really right. I was at work and it just timed really well. I just went, that's on today. Let me go see if I can watch that. And I went over and I just got the right timing, and it was like, oh, Joe's there. This is amazing. And then I went back and I was like, oh, Emma's there. This is great. Like, it was just one after
her beer bestie senses were tingling when we were going to be on. She's like, quick. Yeah.
I was like, I'll put it in the background while I'm doing a bit of work. And it was like, oh, Joe's on. This is great. It's just starting. Amazing timing. I really did well at timing this. I guess out of, you know, just for anyone's awareness, how did you and Amelie sort of connect together initially?
So when I applied to do the Brave Noise thing, some of the documentation they sent over was a list of suggested schemes and organisations that had already they'd already approved as being a suitable recipient, and Amelie's just seemed the most interesting, I suppose, and not to say anything about the others, but to me it sort of seemed like an area where, as you sort of said, like an area that we could really make a difference with sort of limited funds of a Cuckoo Brewery brew. And so that was it really. And I sort of got in touch and sort of introduced myself, and she didn't sort of swear at me or laugh at me. And so I think we then talked about well, what would you use the money for? And then as soon as she sort of explained the idea of her mentorship sort of idea, it was like, well, from my point of view, it was brilliant, because I was like, well, why not sort of enable an expert to do it rather than me doing anything? So I was able to sort of go, right, well, you're the expert. I'll just try and support you in this small way, and hopefully make a difference for some people.
Yeah, I think the timing was really right, because yeah, it's just I remember like speaking with Ash like ages ago about Brave Noise and explaining her what we doing, and well, just like it's something that just like well we never really heard back or anything, but I mean it was fine and everything, but when we started to work on the mentorship program, it was like so we obviously we need funding for paying the mentor, for the organization, for the website, for the hosting, for everything. It's the mentorship program, the pilot year. It's going to be one entire year of testing the program to see if it's working, if it's needed, what's going to be the results. So we're going to study that program for a year. So it's quite expensive. So when John just messaged me on Instagram, it's like a really, really good time. And so, well, actually, yeah, we have that project that we need funding for. So we have some sponsors and everything, but also we just basically, yeah, any help, it's very welcome.
That's amazing. I like how
I'm
serendipitous.
really. Oh, go ahead, Jo.
No, just serendipitous that it all happened at the right time, and it's all supporting the best things. Are you driving into the beer? Yeah. You can't wait any longer.
I can't wait any longer. I just wanted to go before we carry on with the rest of the amazing chat. I just want to drink it because I can smell it.
Yeah.
I just want to have it so bad.
So this one's this version's a pale ale with orange and lemon zest, which I can smell as soon as I opened it.
The orange, so good.
Yeah.
Right.
It just smells. I just want if I can make this into like a candle smell.
Yeah.
I mean,
the smell is amazing.
Yeah.
It's like the perfect for me. It's the perfect amount of citrus as well. It's not too present. It's just like slightly like complements the beer. It's really good.
Yeah. This
is amazing.
So refreshing.
It's really sessionable.
Did you make any other changes to the regular Brave Noise recipe other than adding citrus?
Yeah, so the malt bill's slightly different, but not very different. And part of the sort of, the malt bill's slightly different. The hop bill, instead of Sabro, we used, the original's Mosaic and Sabro, and we used Citra and Mosaic.
Classic.
And I sort of exactly. Just because I sort of didn't want to, because Sabro is a bit divisive, isn't it? Really, and I didn't want sort of people to go, oh no, to prejudge it. I suppose I sort of wanted to give it a hop base or sort of a baseline flavour of hops that people would be familiar with, and then the yeast is a bit different. I used Lalemant's Verdant instead of. I mean, they recommend London Ale 3. I find the outcomes quite similar. So I think we actually changed everything really, just a little bit, just to sort of fit our needs. And I think that I didn't really realise that originally, but Brave Noise are very open to that sort of change.
Oh yeah.
And so there's orange and lemon zest in the Whirlpool, and there's some more in the dry hop. And the aim wasn't to make something that sort of smell or taste like a lemonade or a Fanta. It's sort of, I sort of, sometimes you drink a craft beer and everyone goes, oh, there's real citrus notes, and it was like, well, why don't we use citrus instead? And so hopefully it's sort of, you get a bit of sort of zest and pith rather than sort of the juice of an orange. That's what we're aiming for.
Yeah, definitely.
The zest it's definitely the zest that you get for sure, and I feel like it's especially with the weather getting really, really hot now, it feels like it is the perfect summer warm weather beer, and it's got this nice sort of smoothness like to it. It's really just, I feel really easy to drink.
Yeah,
like I've got a feeling it's going to be one of those that I try to hold on to for the episode, but it's just not going to happen.
Well, I can confirm that I've got one, so like I drank one like a couple of weeks ago, walking the dog. It was extremely sunny after work. I was taking the dog to the park and it was absolutely perfect.
I love that. We talk about like barbecue beers, and I feel like this would be like a really good barbecue beer, but also now it seems like it's a perfect dog walking beer. I'm gonna have to give that a go the next time I go on a dog walk and be like, just casual, like, it's just my beer, my dog walking beer.
Yeah, definitely. Love it. So I can't remember, John, if we talked about Brave Noise on the podcast or whether it was a conversation we had after we finished recording, but we talked about this because of where you donate money to charity anyway as part of the brewery, and then we'd had a little chat about Brave Noise because we'd obviously had other Brave Noise on the podcast. What made you really want to get involved with Brave Noise as an initiative?
I think after sort of speaking to you, I think my position when we were talking was a bit like, well, I don't really want to do a Brave Noise one and sort of ride on the coattails of that sort of campaign and charity, and not charity, but sort of try and get promotion out of it, sort of thing. And then I think I went back and read. I think Tori did a Instagram post of like why you should do a Brave Noise beer, and I sort of read that and sort of was annoyed at how complete the argument was. And so I was like, well, there's no real reason. There's no comeback. There's no sort of reason why I shouldn't do it. So I got in touch with them, and sort of they were very sort of amenable, even though I was way past the deadline. And they were really sort of, it was great. I mean, they were really helpful, put me in touch with Amelie, but were relatively sort of slightly more hands off than I was expecting. They were very much like, you're a grown up, you're brewing beer, you're a brewery, so here are some people you should get in touch with who could benefit from the proceeds, and you can make amendments to the recipe. And so it was just like, well, okay, there's no real reason not to. And I think if Amelie hadn't been quite so up for the collaboration, then I think I might have maybe not gone through it, because the other sort of recommended recipients of Brave Noise money were sort of, they were a little bit out of my sphere, I suppose. And I was thinking, well, I could just sort of, part of the reason that we sort of donate to charity is so that we try and donate to local charities and small charities. And so it would have been nice to have done that rather than sort of to a large organisation that was also recommended, which obviously is also doing great work. But it was a bit sort of like, well, it's sort of not really, doesn't really fit the bill of sort of trying to make our money go the furthest. But then Amelie was, as I said, very receptive and open to it, and I think we met at Beer X, and it was like, okay, well, this sort of makes sense, I suppose. And so when all of those things made sense, and I didn't really have any arguments against Tori's Instagram post, and I sort of felt obliged.
She is super annoying like
one
that.
Thing my family will say, if there's one thing my family will say about me, it's that I could argue for days. If I could have been motivated enough to go to law school, people would be in trouble.
Beer debate.
Yeah, but I think we actually spoke about it after the fact as well. We were just like, this was, I felt like I didn't have anything really to sort of. I think that was part of the conversation that we had at one point. Was you were like, I didn't really have anything to say, and I just, I was like, it's not a judgment either on when people choose not to do it.
Yeah.
It was just after it was after we spoke to sort of Ash and Ren, and as you said, how you said that they treat you like adults, and they're quite hands off with it in that sense. They try to make it as accessible as possible, so it's like you can do whatever recipe. Like they quite frankly told us when I asked the question of like, if somebody had something in a tank and they really wanted to do Brave Noise, but let's just say their budget would not allow them to brew the beer in the pale ale that you're wanting something. Is that a problem? And they were just like, no, we've had kombucha, we've had this. Yeah, if what you have in the tank is all you kind of have at the moment, and there's no room in the brew schedule, like absolutely, that is totally fine. Like that is, you got to do what you got to do, as long as you're following the basic, you know, steps of what they're asking you to do, and there's nothing problematic there. Like, you know, have at it. And they try to make it as accessible for you, so it was one of those things that I was like, no judgment if there are reasons, but in case you didn't know, you know, they are so like allowing of some of that, and it's just about getting in touch with them and having the conversation with them, and they are so good at that stuff. So I'm glad I'm glad that if nothing else my post helped sort of reaffirm that. I'm sure it annoyed a bunch of people, but at least it helped reaffirm that it was like, because I know that you also were a bit like you said, you were sort of you didn't want it to come across as disingenuous, but I think that people can kind of tell when somebody's being disingenuous with it as well, and when you actually care about, you know, the charity aspect of it and making sure you're doing the right things. So I'm glad that if nothing else you felt a little bit more like...
I think it's very true, Tori, it's very true. It's just like when John contacted us, like it was also, we didn't want it to do like a brave noise with someone that would not really, that would do that like as a marketing cruise. It's like it's just like a kind of box ticking exercise. That's well, we've done it. I think it's just like what I've said to John. It's like, well, the first thing I've done is just like I went through his social media, website and everything, just make sure that, well, they were good people as well, just because it's also very important for us to not kind of associate with someone that will not share the same ethos. So it was really, really good to see that John was genuine with the process and everything.
It is that thing, like I said, I think people can just tell when somebody is more disingenuous with it, and when they actually truly believe what they're saying and doing is the right thing. Like, and it I think sometimes people can take that for granted, like thinking that, oh, you know, is it going to look this way, is it going to look that way, and they almost don't realise that like people are going to be able to tell. So it's very hard, I think, to hide those type of motivations sometimes, because it all comes out in the wash in the end anyway. So so you guys ended up speaking, and then you actually met up. Was that before or after you agreed to make the beer, or was it kind of like you met and then you were like, yeah, actually this is going to work, let's do it?
I think it was in still in discussion, but on the principle we agreed, but we were still discussing. And I was in Liverpool for BeerX, and obviously John is based around Liverpool, so I just like said, well, I'll be there, or I'll be around, so let's try and catch up. And just John came to the trade show and just like bump into each other, and just it was good. Gotta catch up.
I think we'd agreed that there was a brew day. I don't think that much else had been like finally agreed, and then so it was nice to sort of just say hello in person and sort of just, I guess, just do that sort of final like vibe check on one another, and
like, are we real person?
Exactly.
It's hard, like post COVID as well. You're like, look, I've got legs. I'm a person. Like, I'm here. I'm not just this much of a torso. It is that funny, like when you especially if you've been speaking to somebody over like messages for like an extended period of time, when you finally get to like see them in person, it is that funny thing about actually being like putting the face to the name and being like, oh, like, so it's you, like we've spoken a lot, but now I actually get to see you. It's the same thing, I feel like, the first time I met Joe. It's like video chats, but then also when you see someone in person, you're like, oh my god, you're real. So did you go to the brew day? Was everyone there at the brew day, or like, obviously because you're cookie brewing, like, is that a little bit more of like a difficult thing? So obviously we've not had a cookie brewing situation before for this, I don't think.
So it was just me, largely due to like geography, and I went to farmyard in Lancaster, and brewed up with them, and then sort of went up a couple of times during fermentation just to make sure everything was okay. And that's when we decided to sort of bung a bit more zest in, and and then went out to package it. And that's farmyard is where I do the rest of my brews at the moment, and they're great.
Yeah, we would love to come, but it was just kind of same times that the brew that we've done for International Women Craft Brew Day, Collaboration Brew Day, and between the one that we've done for our 5th anniversary. So it was too difficult for us to travel to Liverpool. Basically, anywhere in Liverpool is not the easiest.
Yeah, travel's a fun one nowadays. Too many places to go now. Not that long ago we weren't able to go anywhere, and now we're going all the places.
Arguably sometimes too much of the places. In terms of sort of like from both your perspectives, it'd be really good to hear your different perspectives of sort of what you both individually would like to see change-wise within the industry as it currently is.
Who wants to go first?
Well, definitely not me.
Well,
go on, Amelie.
What change I would like to see in the industry? Well, a safer industry for women. I think we all agree that the beer industry, even though there's been a lot of progress, especially in the past 2 years, it's still not safe enough and healthy enough for the women who work in the industry. I'm not saying that is safe and healthy for all men or anything, but it's still very true for women and for underrepresented population in the industry. So definitely a safer industry, and if we want that, it's more equality, more people from underrepresented background and population work in the industry. So how we can do that, basically, how we can seduce more people to come work for the industry, and how we can make them stay as well.
Yeah, that's a key point.
It's hard because there's the added hurdle as well. Is it's not just a diversity issue of how do you attract somebody a more diverse audience, but it's hard to just. I feel like it's almost hard to attract people. Full stop. Just the way the industry is at the moment and how hard it is. Just cost of living and prices going up. Like it's already hard to attract people, full stop, and then also trying to say like, yeah, not only is it a struggle and you've got to go through this struggle if you want to sort of be in the industry, but also we'd also like a bit more diversity in areas, and I can imagine that's just sort of like one more hurdle to add to the list of trying to attract, you want there to be representation so people can see it, they can be it, but it's obviously going to be hard, especially in an industry like it is at the moment. So
yeah, definitely.
I think from my point of view, like as I sort of said, like answering that question, it shouldn't be me going first. Like I think from my point of view, I think there's like people like of my background or sort of my diversity, i.e. white man, I think we've got to be a bit more comfortable taking a step back and listening and sort of accepting that we're going to have to hear some stuff we don't want to hear. And then sort of face up to making the changes that other people are suggesting, and like it's not really for me to say how it needs to change. I just need to try and support anyone else when they've sort of laid out a plan like Amelie has. It's like, well, she's made the plan, sounds great to me, I trust her, and I'll do what I can to help with that, rather than me go, I think you need to do this. because it's just not my. I'm nowhere near the expert, but all I can do is try and help, I think.
And I think by doing sort of Brave Noise, you've done that. Like we've often heard, like we're not the, it's not for us to do it, like, oh, I feel like I can't do it because I'm not a woman, or whatever. Like, by stepping up and doing it, you're like, well, actually we can. And you are lending that support to the rest of the voices.
Yeah, certainly. I'd like to see it that way, but equally, and I'm not trying to absolve myself of ever sort of making a suggestion or making a change sort of on my own. But I definitely think that, like you three are much more should be much more listened to than me on this topic, really.
But I think it sort of goes back to kind of like what Joe was saying as well, in the sense of kind of what you're saying is sort of the point Joe made as well, when it's the, you know, people are saying they need safe spaces. So like when someone's like, why do you need a safe space? It's like well, for people that are challenging the need for why I need a safe space, that's part of the reason why I need a safe space. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's the, like, you know, you wouldn't come in and go, why do you need a safe space? You're kind of saying, well, if you're saying you need a safe space, then maybe we need to create a safe space for you, and kind of going, I hear what you're saying, and okay, what can we do to ensure that happens? And I think, you know, sometimes we've talked about it before, like when we spoke to the Beer Fridge podcast guys, like they were really great to talk to because they were so open to having the discussion about Brave Noise and being like really open and honest and candid, and being like, I never thought about that before. It's the thing of like, we'd share our experiences, and they were like, oh yeah, I had never considered that because it was just not, you know, my lived experience. And like, that's equally okay. It's not about having a different lived experience that's the problem. I think it's when you have someone that, you know, sometimes you have to lean into difficult conversations. Not every conversation is going to be a comfortable one or an easy one to have, but you have to be like, you know, I've got a different lived experience, but I'm willing to hear what your story is, and not, you know, I feel like, not to interpret what you're saying, but I feel like that is exactly, you're going, you know, I'm not going to tell you what your lived experience is. If you, you know, if this is your experience, this is your experience, you know, what can we do to sort of help alleviate that? And that's, I think, a really positive, just wanting to have that conversation and to put something like a Brave Noise out and to work with someone like Women in Beer, like that is already a really important step, I think, because it also raises the profile of Women in Beer and the great work that they're doing that other people might not know.
Absolutely. It's just like you allowing through Brave Noise, through that collaboration, to just like amplify what we do, and just like it's basically giving us a microphone to just talk about what we do and what we're trying to do for to help women in the industry. So, I mean, we're not a brewery, so it's difficult for us to, we're depending on people that are just agree to work with us and to help us raise awareness on what we do, and that's really cool.
Yeah, that amplification is what we need allies to do, and you're doing that. So thank you very much.
It's probably hard because it's I know already, like the last time we spoke to you and you were like, I don't even want to. It's like, oh, you don't even mention the charity thing. Like, oh, I sort of downplay that a bit, and so I can only imagine that how you are literally probably going, don't thank me, please don't thank me. I just know it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for a little story, like in my previous job, we did a Black Lives Matter sort of. We made clothes, and we were making an item of clothing to support fundraising for. I think it was a fund sort of associated with Black Lives Matter, and we had some pushback from the community that we were in, who sort of pointed out to us that, hey, you're selling us this item, and okay, you're giving a lot to charity, but you're also making sales off the back of it, and you might get repeat sales down the line. And I remember my initial reaction was like, oh, fuck you then. Like, if you don't want my money, like, and I sort of really reacted quite aggressively, not aggressively to it, but I was really upset by it. And my boss at the time sort of pointed out to me that, like, that reaction is me learning, basically. And that sort of upsetness was me learning that actually they were right, and we shouldn't have done that, and we should have found a way that was better attuned to the recipient of the money's um, priorities and like the way they want to be talked about and stuff like that. And what I found with Brave Noise was very much like sort of a lot of those difficult conversations regarding like this is how we want these things to be talked about, and this is how we want these things to be. This is the sort of difference that we want to see, and these are the sort of people that we want to see leading that change. Was sort of already done, and so from the perspective of sort of a white guy, it was nice to be able to sort of go, okay, well, this has sort of been vetted, and it feels like a safe sort of thing to collaborate on in this manner. And I sort of see that reaction happen quite a lot with breweries. I think there was a group of breweries that did, there was one brewery that did something for the Ukraine war, I think, and I think the charity that the money was going to sort of came back to them and was like, hey, actually we don't like this, like, and the brewery got a bit defensive about it, and it's the same sort of thing of like, I think we've all got to be quite delicate with how we approach those interactions and collaborations. It's not good enough to just go, oh, well, you should be happy with this money that I'm giving to you. And so that was why, and so with Brave Noise, it was a little bit more sort of the rough edges were smoothed off a lot more, and particularly with like being put in touch with Amelie, and it felt much more like, hey, I'm offering this to you rather than, I'm offering this to you, what do you think? You're allowed to say no, sort of thing, which I think is important when you do these sorts of things.
I think it's quite important as well that because obviously when you mentioned that you were looking at, the charity offerings that they had sort of like recommended and stuff, and what kind of stood out to me is you saying kind of like you kind of knew that the Women in Beer was the charity, like that was for you really resonated with you and what you wanted to support and kind of the approach you wanted to take with it. And I think that actually speaks to how genuine it is as well, because if you were willing to kind of, like you could have easily just gone whatever the first charity is on the list, like I'll just tick that box, I'll make this beer, I'll do a blue and white label, which I will say your label is really cool as well, because it still has that like Spookton flair to it, not to divert from the importance of it, but you could have easily gone tick a box, they give you the label, you could have used their label and you could have just been like, cool, recipe done, pick the first charity. But the fact that it sounds like it was a two-way conversation, the fact that you sort of like emailed, said, how do you feel about this is what I want to do, and if the answer was kind of no, and you didn't feel that you had that connection with another charity, you were willing to kind of go, you know what, maybe this isn't something that I'm gonna do. Maybe you'd still do the code of conduct, but maybe you'd kind of go, you know what, it's not the right charities for me to align with, sort of thing. And I think like that's quite important as well as part of that conversation. So it sounds like you had really good communication between the two of you, and it was really important that you were both engaged in it.
Yeah, and just like similarly, it's just like I didn't want John to think that, well, we're just collecting money for not doing anything. Just like it was also important to me to show him and show like other brewery that we're doing Brave Noise with, that there is something concrete coming behind that. There's a project we're building. There's people that are going to be directly benefit from those funding. So it's I would say that if the mentorship was not on the back of my mind at that time, I would say, look, we don't have anything, we don't have any needs at the moment. So, well, maybe in 6 months if we do the festival, or maybe in a year, but yes, I would not have accept the collab if there was nothing concrete behind it.
It shows that a lot of like time and care and effort and like sort of feelings that went into it as well, and the fact that you did the due diligence as well. If you're like, who am I actually working with on this? You could, again, it would have been just as easy as it would have been for John to have gone, first charity, pick it, done, tick the box. You could have easily gone, great, charity donation, that's all good, happy days, and you could have just been like, yep, sure, and not really taken the time to sort of get involved. But it sounds like obviously you did quite, quite the research to make sure it was like the right move for you guys as well. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's just a really nice story of like how you've connected as well.
Yeah, I really like the story behind this one. I think it's really lovely. So,
I was going to say, we should also say that Chris donated the malt.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Chris.
And Lallement donated the yeast.
Nice. Thank you, Lallement.
That's all that's confirmed at the moment.
Amazing. And then how did you, again, I know we just went into like a really deep section there, but just to pull back out from that deepness for a minute, how did you like just know that you wanted to sort of have your signature label on it, or how did you decide that was kind of the label that you wanted to go with? Because it sticks with your branding, but it also is very clearly a Brave Noise beer.
Yeah, I couldn't get. I think their template label was too difficult for me to. It was too advanced for me to do properly. Part of it was that I couldn't do it, and then I was like, well, other people have sort of tweaked their labels, and it's sort of. You don't want to walk into a bottle shop and see sort of 6 beers with the same label, with a slightly different little brewery logo sort of thing, and so so it seemed like, okay, well, we can sort of pull pieces of their sort of template out and use that on ours, and it wasn't sort of a master plan, but it was, as I say, if I was better on Illustrator, then it would look a lot like theirs, I think.
If it helps, I feel like if you put Illustrator in front of me, I probably wouldn't even be able to do like a basic label. So, yeah. But I feel like I love the fact that it sort of fits in with how you normally do the labels anyways. And it's like, it's unmistakably, a Spookton beer, but also it's very, in my opinion, very unmistakably a Brave Noise beer as well. Yeah. And I know, like, I actively seek out like Brave Noise beers, so hopefully that will catch somebody else's eye that is going, oh, Brave Noise, gonna try that one, and especially because it is a bit different, they might go, let's give that one a go. That's an interesting one.
I love it. We'll get inaugurated into the Brave Noise wall that is behind me once I finish drinking it. Yeah, get added in there. Pride of place.
I didn't notice that.
We'll do a little turn.
That's a nice collection.
Yeah.
I've just taken the labels off because I intend
she's
to
kept
put
her
mine
labels
on a board somewhere when I get around to that.
So, although the Brave Noise initiative is kind of closed, I know that submitting through the website is closed, but if you email,
but you can still submit
via email, and so breweries can still take part if they want to. Do you have, both of you, any advice to any breweries that might still want to take part? Because we'd still love them to take part if they want to. What would you want them to know?
Do you want to go first?
Do you want me to go first? Well, I don't know. They should know that we are still looking for funding for mentorship programs, so we're still happy to get donation from New Brave Noise Collab.
Amazing.
There you go. That's it. Like,
there we go. There is a reason.
An amazing mentorship.
Yeah.
There's your compelling event.
Yeah.
I think it's very easy to go, okay, well, Brave Noise is done. In the same way that, like, I think people's attention span goes quite quickly. Goes quicker than the actual problem that they're trying to sort of resolve. Like, there's everyone sort of moves on a lot quicker than they should do, I think. And I think that just because Brave Noise aren't sort of like actively going out and sort of recruiting breweries, it doesn't mean that having a code of conduct isn't a really great thing to have, and
100%.
And sort of fundraising for things like Amelie's projects aren't a brilliant thing to do. And I think that there's definitely a bit more of an understanding that the beer can be more individual and more sort of tweaked, so that there's definitely a market out there for it, if you know what I mean. It's not like the pubs and bottle shops are like, I don't want to buy the same beer again, sort of thing. I think they are twigging on so that each of these beers are slightly different, which helps. I sort of, I'd encourage anyone to do it, if only to sort of apply themselves to writing a code of conduct and thinking like, well, what does that look like, and um, also collaborate, sort of reaching out to people like Amelie and others in the sort of that work in that area.
Yeah, I think people have been. I mean, I've heard in the past 2 years, like so many times, like, well, what can we do? What can we do to be an ally? What can we do to help, like, with more diversity in the ministry? Well, this is a concrete action. It's helping the people that are every day working on those topics. There's us, but also you guys know her. There's Peep from the wellness officer as well, that was doing an amazing job, and who desperately needs funding as well, to train more wellness officer. And those actions are very, very positive, and they are really concrete actions. So yeah, that's important.
Yeah, they're definitely things.
And I think it's so important. Okay.
I mean, they are things where
I think as with time.
Yeah, you can tangibly see them making a difference. Like with the wellness officers at the festivals, they are there. They are supporting people. And they are making a difference. And the Women in Beer Festival does the same. And I'm sure the mentorship program is going to do that. Like, yeah, I think putting into these things, they're small, but they are making a difference. You can definitely. I like that. The concrete action is a really good phrase, I think.
I think it's quite, I don't want anyone to think that we're kind of spreading some, misconception that, what can I do here? Oh, just brew a brave noise and it fixes everything.
Yeah.
Like, that's not, the beer is not the thing that's fixing the problems. So whether or not you slap the words brave noise across it and you go through the process of like asking the permission to make the brave noise beer, or all that, whether you go through those steps, that's not gonna be that thing, as much as we want people to do that. So it makes it very clear and obvious that that's, you've made your code of conduct and you're supporting the right causes and that your values align with equality and inclusion. We are not saying that all of a sudden you brew a brave noise beer and that's it, your job is done, you've done your bit. No, like the important part that is that concrete step is to do your code of conduct and support a charity of your choosing, or an initiative of your choosing, so that you can have somebody that's doing a mentorship program, wellness officers, things that are going to do that concrete action to change things. The brave noise itself is just the vehicle that is sort of helping propel down the right path to doing those things, and it's making it very clear so that people know that it's signed, sealed, this is what you're doing, and that is really important. And it's the what can I do to... Sometimes people don't realise that just doing a code of conduct and supporting a charity on its own, like, that is... A code of conduct alone is a really big deal, like, in my opinion.
I was going to say that, yeah. I think when I approached it, I was like, oh, this is all really heavy, actually, and a lot of rules sort of thing. But actually, when you sort of look at everyone else's and look at your own, it's actually... all you're doing is you're publishing your own values, really, and your business's values, and that I think, I mean, even from a business, if you're doing a business plan, like, you're going to include your values in that, and I think, and so it's not that big a deal to do it, but I think putting it out there and saying these are this business's values is it's something that that people can latch onto and people can hold you to account on and things like that. And it's not sort of necessarily this is what we're going to do if things go wrong. These are the disciplinary measures that will be taken. It's more like, these are our values, these are what we stand for, this is how we want to operate. And I think people like to see that. And definitely people like to see that.
I absolutely agree with that, and I think you're 100%. Right though, people do tend to forget about things really, really quickly. Like a scandal happens even, and you kind of go, oh well, I guess we're over that now in like 2 months. You know, the people that are the ones that are the most impacted are the ones that are still sort of talking about it, and you've got a larger group of people who aren't impacted who are like, I don't know what you're talking about, you know, they've changed, they're better, they're doing better. And it's like, you know, stuff like that, it just, even when you have a scandal, let alone a positive thing that happens, it gets moved on so quickly, arguably too quickly. And I think part of one thing, you know, in my opinion, that makes the Brave Noise, why it's the vehicle for the change as well, is it keeps it in the forefront of people's minds. The more they see it and the more people talk about it, the more that it will help remind people that it's not going away. So it's like, you know, when you have someone like Mirakai that has done 2 in a, like, you know, they've done 1 each year, because they want to just keep that in the forefront of people's minds of how important this initiative is. You know, like I said, even do the code of conduct, do the charity or don't do the charity, like it's just important to put your values out there. But why do it under Brave Noise? My answer to that is so that you can just keep that conversation going, really, so that people don't forget about it, so that people, I would hope for a day that people are like, we don't need it anymore. But I think that day is a lot further away, and I think the more we can keep banging on about it, the more that people will keep talking about it. And hopefully, even if it's for no other reason than they don't want to talk about it anymore, they'll start taking action more and more, I hope. And I think there is action happening. I don't want to sort of diminish what is going on, but I think that's
definitely
cool. Wow.
The beer is delicious. Congratulations. We knew it would be.
It's really good.
It's really good.
Very, very good.
It's really lovely.
I wish it was sunnier, so I could go take the last bit out.
Oh, is it not sunny where you are? It's rainy it's nice where I am. It was raining this morning, but it's quite nice now. Quite warm. I'm enjoying mine. So thank you so much for coming to talk to us. We really appreciate it. We're glad that we could have you on, and glad to have you back, John. Well, you know, always welcome back.
Thank you.
And Amelie, I think we'll have to have you back to have a chat about
the whole women.
Yeah, all the things.
That would be
all
an
the things
easy
at some point.
whole conversation.
Yeah. Okay.
But is there anything, as we come to the end of this, that you guys would like to promote to everyone while you got the opportunity? Talk about all the things now. Amelie, you better go first because you've got a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, well, anything I want to promote? So, well, so it's like the big news is gonna be the mentorship is coming soon. So we're launching imminently. So for all women that think would need to be mentored, that feel the need to be mentored, to have some advice and some just even to say feel the need to discuss some time with someone more experienced in the industry. Just keep an eye out on our social. The websites. I'm currently working on the websites, so the application should be online very, very soon. So yeah, we have absolutely fantastic mentor. So I'm very, very like humble and proud to have such amazing women trusting me and willing to like give their times for all mentorship. So yeah, just keep an eye out. More information coming very, very soon, and yeah, just feel free to apply. Yeah, that's it for me.
If anybody wants to donate personally, like, is there any way for people to make individual contributions to it, or is it only sort of like larger level contributions?
So we are looking for sponsors, so it's definitely more larger contribution. But we also, when we'll be launching officially the website with the application program, we'll be also launching a Patreon. Where like you will be able to just like contribute on smaller scale, and do like single donation as well. So so yeah, just like there will be a possibility as well very soon.
Amazing. We'll link to all of the social accounts so people can follow and be ready for that when it happens.
Thanks.
And John?
So if you're a pub or a tap room or a bottle shop, then our beer is on cellar, or just email me. It's also on Ebria. The Brave Noise one I don't think is on Ebria, but that's for another time. But you can get it from me, and you can get it from Cellar, and you can join up our newsletter on our website and stuff like that. If you're a member of the public, we're at spookton.co.uk. If you want to buy some Brave Noise beer. And news-wise, we've found a space to set up a tap room and brewery in Chester. So we are in the sort of the annoying conversation with landlord stage of things.
Yay!
Yeah,
that's very good news.
Yeah. Exciting news.
It is very, very exciting. So if you've also got 50 grand, then let me know. And that'd be really helpful.
Looking for investors.
We've managed to find a space that'll be really good. We've sort of sorted out ourselves a bit, and if the discussions with the landlord goes well, then we might have a physical space in the next sort of 6 to 12 months.
Yay! Keeping fingers in toes.
Congratulations!
That's very exciting.
It's a roller coaster at the moment.
Yeah.
People need to help contribute to that. So go buy Brave Noise beer. Get your local bottle shop to go and ask for it. Your local pub. If you want to try this, it's an amazing summer beer.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Go and get it for your barbecue or your dog walks or however you want to consume in the sun.
Dog walking beer.
And
dog
ask
walks
your
only,
locals.
I think. If you're not walking a dog, you're not allowed to.
Dog walking beer only. So go and ask your locals to get it on and go buy some and enjoy. And we'll obviously, like Joe said, we'll link to all of it.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you both.
We're gonna have to you back sometime.
Thank you.
Oh,
everyone thought that we were done with our Brave Noise series.
We are not.
We hadn't put one out in a while.
Yep.
But guess what?
We're still making a noise.
We're still being brave and making noise.
And also, this beer is yum. I think this is the end.
It's amazing. I've already drank
it. This is the end. I've got another one, so it's okay.
I know. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm not crying about it yet. Yeah. I've still got a dog walking beer.
Shall I inaugurate this into the wall? Look, we'll turn it a little bit. Da da da! It's getting inaugurated into.
Oh, we need you need to do. I need to do the sound effects. Clap.
Sound effects. That's too much effort.
You needed the soundboard.
I did. I didn't have the soundboard ready. I didn't do it.
Everyone was clapping.
It's up there on the Brave Noise wall now.
There we go. Another one, as DJ Khaled
Another one for the wall. I really enjoyed that, and I can't believe we have not had Amelie on before.
No, we
definitely need to get Amelie.
But honestly, as she was talking about the Women in Beer Festival, and I was just like, that's something we could talk about as well. I was like, I could easily spin off. Talk about that.
Talk to Amelie for ages.
Talk about the mentorship. I was like, there's so many things that I could easily spin off and talk about that it feels like it just warrants its own episode.
And also, she just does marketing in beer anyway. We could talk about what that's like. So many things.
Many things.
And we need to have John back on once the tap room's open so we can talk to him about that.
I'm not going to lie, that was a genuine surprise. Yeah. I did not know that was coming, that announcement, and that was a very exciting announcement.
We needed the cheers for that.
Yeah, we needed the cheers for that.
Oh, I've got to get the soundboard sorted.
That was genuine excitement, and my face, that was genuine. I was like, yay! Because that is
check the video for that.
Yeah, that was really exciting news, because I feel like, Spookton are just such a they make such quality beers, and beyond that as well, what they stand for to me is quite important as well. The fact that every beer sort of gives something to charity, I feel like is just and it's the fact that he's also so genuine, and he's also very
100%.
He's not. Most people would be out there being.
You feel his pain.
Talk
don't you,
about
Tori?
the charity.
Right.
Talk about the charity, and he's just a bit I just did it. I just care. I don't.
Yeah. We love it.
He doesn't want to. There's so much credit that I feel like he could take that other people easily would snatch up. But I think it is so like admirable that he's very much like, well, I don't deserve a trophy for doing a good things, but it makes me want to support him even more. So like the fact that they've got potentially a space, I really hope it all comes to fruition. I'm sending lots of positive vibes.
Positive vibes.
That is what we need right now. And like I said, the beer is just like any beer I've had for them has just been really good.
Yeah, it's been good. Yeah. It's been really
People
good.
need to go out there. Obviously, he's said they still have sort of kegs and to get out there. So if you want your local to have this on tap, like please contact him. If you just want to try this beer for your dog walks or however you choose to use it, your summer beer, your winter beer, your whatever beer, get it, because it is really good. And then that
it's so drinkable.
Your money is going towards and it's going towards funding something that we so desperately need.
Yes. I'm so glad that a scheme like this has come about, because we've spoken about it a couple of times.
We have
we're not
we
the
literally
people
have
that
spoken
could
about this.
do it. We weren't the people that could move it forward, but I'm really glad that like Amelie is doing something so positive and, like we said, so concrete. Yeah, it's going to be amazing. I'm excited.
I know we had a lot of conversations like on the podcast and just off the podcast where we were kind of like trying to be like, well, how can we make this work? Because speaking to people like Emma from Iroquois, being like, how can we, like, these are the type of things that we need here in the UK, and we see them happening in the US. And like, considering our size, as I said on the podcast, like considering our size compared to the size of the US that audience is serving, it feels like, why can't we get something like this? Like we need this desperately. And I know we've had so many brainstorming sessions where we've been like, how can we make this happen? And who can do this, because it's not us, who can do this, and how can we support them? And it's so nice to see, and I'm really excited about having that Patreon that's going to be set up, because that question of how can we personally help support this. I don't have 50 grand to give to John, unfortunately. I don't have 50 grand to give to Women in Beer. If I had it, I would give it. I wouldn't be stingy with that. So it's one of those things that I'm like, that's the best thing I can do is get this when this Patreon goes up, is to just donate a little bit to something, to the thing that I want to see.
Check the show notes, because links to the Women in Beer socials and to Spookton will be in there, so you can go and find out more information about that. Turn the notifications on so you get it when applications open and when the Patreon opens, so that everyone can help out this amazing cause. Tori, if people want to talk to you more about Brave Noise, because we are still making a noise.
I will always talk about it, and not to make this a diatribe or anything. Not to make this a diatribe or anything, but what's really important is, like, I still very strongly believe that you need to reach out to your local breweries and just establishments in general, anyone that's capable of making Brave Noise beer.
I'm going to link to your little article about it, because it changed people's minds. So if you missed that, we're going to put the link to that in the show notes as well, so you can go read it. Read Tori's mind-changing
you could see
caption.
Me right now. If you were watching this video, which we know you're not, you would see me recoiling in
did a good thing.
Embarrassment.
Anyway,
why I don't do nice things, because then people say nice things about me and I can't handle compliments.
Where can they just go and look at it and not give you compliments?
You can go and try to dig it out if you can find it. It was quite a while ago, I think, on my Instagram, adventures_in_optimism. And like I said, I think it's really important that people know it's too late in the sense of applying via the website, but it's not too late to do it, to actually reach out and do it. Encourage your breweries, encourage your favourite establishments, and if not a Brave Noise, like, I get why maybe not a Brave Noise, that's fine. I would strongly encourage establishments, breweries, any place, ask your favourites to do this. At a minimum, get a code of conduct. Put your values out there for everyone to see, because you don't have to give to charity if you don't have the money. You don't have to brew an extra beer if you don't have the money. But what you can do for free is you can put together a code of conduct. Like, that is within your control. If we're looking at what is in your control to do, that you can't have an excuse for, please get out and do this, and hold your favourite establishments accountable for it. Like, I understand it's a tough time in the industry. Pubs are closing, bottle shops closing, breweries are closing. Like, I get it's tough, but, make it known what your values are, so that you can make sure as well that there's all the more reason, like, we want these spaces to be here. So, you know, just do it. That's all I can say. It's a very important thing, and I think it's really, really important to do. So that is my lecture for the day over. Joe, where can people come talk to you about Brave Noise?
You can come talk to me about Brave Noise, and I will point you in the direction of the website, because the information is still there, even though you can't sign up on there. And there is information on there on how to write a code of conduct. There is some advice, which is very helpful. You know, go back and listen to the rest of our Brave Noise episodes, because you can go and see the codes of conduct from those breweries as well. They will help you out. And you can come ask me about that at my beer school, which is Love Beer Learning. And we are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok and Pinterest. I'm mostly on Instagram nowadays. I've been really quiet lately, guys. Soz, it's been a bit busy. But, you know, I'm still here. Don't worry. Podcast's still going out, so we're still about.
As long as they're still going out on
as long
a
as the
Monday.
podcast is still going. This gets priority.
Going, then maybe message us and
be like, what's going on, man?
Okay,
what's going on? What's happened? We got 2 business. No, podcast will go out every week. This is our priority. You can also come to my website, which is where you can find some of these episodes and information about Brave Noise. And that is lovebeerlearning.co.uk. Or you can email me if you've got a question a burning question that you want to ask me, and that is lovebeerlearning@gmail.com. You can get hold of both of us at A Woman's Brew on Instagram, or you can email us at awomansbrewpodcast@gmail.com. One of us will pick it up. It's probably going to be Tori, because I've never got any signal.
Well, I'll let you cover all the bases on that one, because I was too busy giving a lecture to people to get their code of conducts out. So my beer's out. I'm parched now.
Yeah,
so
we're going to go
get another
drink some more beer.
On that note.
So on that note, I haven't got my can because
I
put it in the wall. Right, on that note, tiny bit of beer that I've got left. Cheers.
Cheers.